What's up, Dibblings and Dibfits? A common question that I get is, why did you become a personal trainer? How did you get into this industry? Why is this your job? And I usually tell people the answer. Not a lot of people know. And if you have followed me for a while, you may have heard the story before. If you've downloaded one of my freebies, sometimes I have it in my About section, or it possibly is in the About section of my website right now. It's sometimes I don't like to talk about it actually because not that it's weird to talk about but because some people think that, I guess, trying to get people to exercise coming from a place of fear is not good and it should come from a place of joy. But I also think, yeah, I don't know, it's my truth, so I'm just going to talk about it. Basically, I've always been, it's sort of multiple parts. I've always been an active kid. I played every sport. I have combined type ADHD, so the inattentive and hyperactive type. I'm medicated right now, which is why I can sit down and do this 10-minute video, but I usually don't stop moving. So yeah, I played a bunch of sports. I wanted a job where I could be fit and be moving. That was one of the things that I wanted, but there's a lot of jobs that, that's an aspect of. I could have gone into a trade. I could have joined the military, which I almost did. Yeah, it's just one of those things that sort of came from a few pieces that fell into place. So when I was 4 or 5, my parents separated and then got divorced, and my dad sort of never recovered emotionally from that big blow to his life. And he must have been in his 30s, question mark, when that happened. No, late 20s. And yeah, I was somewhere around there, late 20s, early 30s. And because of that, he sort of, it's just amazing how much like the lifestyle of loneliness creeps up on you, and all these other symptoms and unhealthy habits add up to cause bad things for your health. He ended up losing his job. He ended up becoming reliant on disability support money. He was struggling with his mental health. He was living in government subsidized housing with a partner who he was not good for him, and they just both relied on each other because it was easier for them to have both of their resources pulled together to be able to afford to live and eat and do whatever. But still, even with both of them together, I remember he was pretty hard up on cash, and when me and my sister went to visit him, he would often only put like $20 in the gas tank, and he'd be like, that's all I've got for fuel for the car, so we can only go as far as that can take us for the weekend or whatever, the week, however long we're with him. And because he lost his job, I guess he stopped hanging out with his workmates. He also had one bad motorcycle crash on his Hayabusa, totaled the bike, ended up in hospital with a bunch of things wrong, and I don't think he had comprehensive insurance, so he never got another bike again. And so he lost his friend circle, his group of riding buddies. He lost his workmates, like seeing them every day and being social with them. Like he used to be social with his boss at work. And I remember going to like Christmas parties and going to her house once. And he worked for Holden Cars, the car manufacturer in Australia. And yeah, it was like everyone that worked at the place that he was at was quite friendly, and they often did events together with the employees' families and things like that. So his life sort of just very steadily went south after he divorced my mom. And yeah, he wasn't moving as much, wasn't exercising as much, wasn't eating really good food. He'd cook sometimes, but he wasn't super experimental. He'd often get takeout, and his partner didn't really cook either. So sometimes they did, but they would often get, some sort of fast food. He also had unhealthy habits that I don't know when they started or if they were an always thing, but he'd make cups of tea with like two teaspoons of sugar and then top it off with condensed milk, and he'd have that 2 or 3 or 4 times a day. So that's a lot of sugar that he's ingesting through the day. His dog ended up getting obese as well because he had a knee injury and a back injury, and he couldn't walk without pain. So when me and my sister went there to walk the dog, no one walked the dog, and the dog ended up putting on weight and being having health problems. But yeah, he found it really hard to move, and then he didn't have friends to suggest going swimming with or going to the gym with, and he didn't have money to even get a gym membership. So he didn't actually drink alcohol because alcohol gave him heartburn. He did smoke cigarettes. I can't remember how many or how often, but I do remember his place smelling like cigarette smoke a lot of the time. I think him and his partner both smoked inside. But yeah, no alcohol, did smoke a lot of cigarettes, ate a lot of greasy, sugary, fatty foods, and just didn't have a community around him. And his partner was a bit of a troublemaker and I guess sort of alienated them from the rest of their neighbors and the people in their community because she was always picking fights with people and then putting my dad, who was, I don't know, 6'3", very tall guy and big bone dude in front of her. And, you know, then my dad would take a literal physical beating sometimes. So he was also on a lot of painkillers for his injuries, and so he was taking a lot of prescription medications. He was also super depressed and didn't really get a lot of therapy in. He did some psychology sessions. I don't know if he ran out of money or the government stopped funding some of them. But then he got onto antidepressants, and that sort of just made him sleep for 16 hours a day like a koala. And all of this to say is there was a bunch of factors that led to him passing away at the age of 44 very suddenly. I remember at that point I was maybe seeing him like I was 19, so I was an adult. I wasn't doing the every second weekend thing anymore. Like my mom didn't have to do that. Me and my sister could drive over to his place whenever we wanted. He lived like just over an hour away from where I was at the time. And so I was seeing him maybe once a month, once every couple of months, or sometimes I'd see him multiple times in the month, just depended. And the last time that I got to see him, I've shared this video multiple times, I got him to come over to my place and reenact me coming out to him as a lesbian, because I've come out as a lot of things over the years. And it was a really sweet, wholesome moment. We had a lot of fun. And, we texted often. We used to write letters to each other when I was really young. And then I remember everything pretty crystal clear. And maybe a week, 2 weeks after I saw him and he came and we filmed that wonderful video together, I was actually talking to a girl that I met at Sydney Mardi Gras, the Pride that we have in Sydney, Australia, and I was like flirting with her on the phone at, I don't know, midnight. It was like 12:30 or something. And I got another call coming through on my phone, and I was like, what the hell? Like, my dad's girlfriend was calling, and I thought that was really strange. So I said, hold on, like, I'll call you back, to the girl that I was talking to, and then called my dad's girlfriend back. And she was just hysterical, crying, and told me that the ambulance had just taken my dad away because he had just passed away. And yeah, he had just fallen asleep, like in the like on a lazy boy in the living room, and she was trying to wake him up and he wouldn't wake up, and then she called the ambulance and they pronounced him dead and took him away. And she was just hysterical. And I think I don't think her daughter at the time was there. I can't remember. I think her daughter was at her dad's house. But yeah, she was just crying and wailing on the phone, and I had to then make the decision, do I go and wake my sister up now, or do I wait until the morning to tell her that our dad has died? Yeah, so that was a bit of a detour, but yeah, like, that sort of sent me and my sister in two different directions in our lives. I sort of went like, YOLO, I'm just going to try everything and anything because I could die tomorrow, just like my dad did at 44 years old. I think back then the average lifespan for an Australian was 77 or something. I just checked before I started filming this video, and the average lifespan in Australia and Canada is pretty similar for men and women. It's like 81 to 85-ish, or 80 to 85 for both men and women right now. So yeah, 44 is cutting it really short. And after that happened, I thought, and my sister, I guess, has always been afraid, or has thought, well, I could die tomorrow, so what's the point, sort of thing. But I went the other way of, well, I could die tomorrow, so I'm just going to do everything. And the ADHD fuels that, I guess. So I moved from, Australia to Canada. I started a business. I went on a couple of adventures, road trips within Australia and overseas. And just, yeah, sort of became a yes man and said yes to anything and everything that came my way. And yeah, his death sort of inspired me to research and understand, because that's sort of my way of processing things as well, is when there's something that happens that's a little bit traumatic, from as something as big as your parent dying to your roommate going through a psychosis or whatever. I've had a lot of traumatic things happen to me. My way of coping is just to deep dive and learn as much about that thing as I possibly can. So yeah, the autopsy report ended up coming back that my dad passed away of heart disease. So I looked up everything to do with heart disease, and what causes it, and it is one of the leading causes of death, and that's sort of what led me to become a personal trainer. That, and me also wanting to be on my own fitness journey and going through this crazy fitness challenge back in Sydney, and making friends with one of the coaches that worked at this studio. And I asked her where she got her qualification from, and I then checked out that place and got mine at the same place that she did. And yeah, just a pure interest in that, and in helping other people, and helping people, like helping prevent what happened to my dad to other people, and helping myself, but helping everybody else. And that's why I come to fitness in a very holistic sense, because I'm not just talking about, let's get bikini body ready, or you want to look like a Target model, or do you want to do a bikini competition or a bodybuilding competition, or do X, Y, and Z. I come at it from, I look at all of the things about someone's life and their, how their brain works, and why nutrition is hard or not hard for them, why working out is hard or not hard for them, what types of exercise is hard or easy for them, and what does their community look like, what does their friendship circle look like, what do their family situations look like, and how can we get that person moving in a way that's accessible to them with as little amount of barriers as possible. And that is the story, I guess, in a very long-winded nutshell. I am trying to just put out more content at the moment, so sorry for not editing out the pauses, but I think sometimes people like the pauses, because you can see that I'm not just reading off of a script that stupid AI spat out. So hopefully, that answers the question of why I became a personal trainer. And I've been doing it since 2017. So yeah, next year will be my 10-year anniversary being a fitness instructor, and it's taken its form across the northern and southern hemisphere, across 2 continents, and now I have clients basically on many more than just 2 continents. And it's been a journey. And I sometimes think, what the heck am I doing? And why couldn't I have been some sort of scientist that graduated university or a business mogul? But I really hated business when I was doing it at university. But now I have to do all of the business things myself anyway. But yeah, sometimes it's hard, but everything in life is hard, and you just have to persist. Every job has its pros and cons. I love my clients. I love them all so much, and I love helping them. And every time I get tired of early mornings, or tired of doing my bookkeeping, or tired of creating content, or tired of writing workouts, someone tells me something about the fact that I've changed their life, essentially, and it just reinvigorates that spark. And, I love those aha moments and those mind-blown moments when people tell me that they've learnt something new from me that I think is just common knowledge, or I have known for a while, so I don't think that it's going to be that crazy of a fact. But yeah, it's just moments like that that make me keep doing this. And thank you if you watch this in part. Thank you if you watch it in total. Thank you if you skip to the end even just to hear my wrap up. But yeah, too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. My dad passed away at 44 and from heart disease, and I've just been trying to figure out how to prevent that from happening to myself and other people ever since. He passed away in March of 2013, 2014, 2014. And yeah, it's 12 years since he passed. And it feels like yesterday, but it also feels like 20 years sometimes. And I miss him a lot. I loved him a lot. He was a good dad. He wasn't a deadbeat dad. He had his problems. He had his challenges in life, but it wasn't, his heart was pure, and he loved me and my sister and his family a lot. And I miss him all the time, every day. And he rode motorbikes, and he got me into riding motorbikes. And yeah, I think about him often when I'm riding my bike. And when I'm having to move such a heavy bike, I'm like, geez, thank goodness I'm a personal trainer, because I'm definitely not as ginormous as my dad was. I don't have that power to weight ratio. But yeah, that's my story. I'm just going to go and upload this video and have a snack. Thank you for listening and watching.